Good morning. In my last videos, I've been talking a lot about the Chinese EV sales and why they are down from December to January, and also the implications of Chinese New Year, but also in particular why the Chinese economy is still a little bit sluggish after the reopening, and why this especially impacts larger tickets such as premium luxury cars as well as housing. And today I think we've got some important news around what China is going to do about it. I actually previously already made a video about that, and MIIT spokesman came out and said, yeah, we are probably going to rethink the EV incentives which we gave, so they were phased out coming into this year, also explaining a little bit why there is more sluggish demand for vehicles in general, so for the whole industry. And now, of course, they're thinking about, what could be the second part of it. And let's see this here in this bigger frame and context. This is from Brandon Ahern, who's managing Grain Shares on Twitter. He was pointing to an important speech from President Xi overnight. So that was only 2 days ago. Where domestic demand was highlighted quite a few times as really the goal where China is seeing to actually shift their prioritization to. Of course, this is also in a wider context that China needs to get independent when they get cut off from the US sanctions and so on. So where does China put their incentives? This time not so much on infrastructure and building houses. No, this time actually for making domestic consumption stronger. So this is where we should expect more and more incentives. Now, then there was also one thing about one point by Chinese Premier Li Keqiang in the State Council executive meeting. There was also just a couple of days ago promoting the rollout of policies to support consumption of cars and other consumer staples. So, of course, it makes a lot of sense to really support cars, because cars are big item tickets, and that's also helping GDP growth and the whole economy if you're having an economy that is as big in automotive as China's, right? So, just another hint where the next policies are coming, right? What else? We have here some local governments already acting on this before the let's say the central government. Beijing is acting on it. For example, Shanghai announced plans to boost confidence for promoting economic growth. Consumers will receive 10,000 yuan in subsidies for every electric vehicle purchased. So while this is not as big as the initial subsidies before, still it shows you that on local levels this is already getting started. And Shanghai, of course, being a very big market domestically for EVs, especially also for NIO and Tesla. So that's good news in itself. What else? This is just a repetition of that news here. And then also the Ministry of Commerce, the next step will continue to stabilize and expand automotive consumption. So that was just from yesterday. Now today, another big piece here, there is a policy plan for boosting EV adoption in the public spaces. And I think this is where NIO will really benefit from. 2 reasons. The first one, and I've highlighted this one in yellow here, so this is just the original text from the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology of China. So they have laid out this plan to boost more EV adoption by public governments and public companies. And highlighted here in yellow is Huangdian, so that is battery swapping. So you can see, just by skimming all this text, even if you don't understand Chinese, that various paragraphs here are about not only building out the charging network, but explicitly supporting battery swapping. And I'm reading this, that parts of the incentives to come will be in the area of the infrastructure rollout for battery swapping, but also possibly similarly to in the past, that there will be a threshold that usually will be applied for EVs, subsidies that will not be applied possibly for cars that can battery swap, such as NIOs, but also there are lots of local companies already doing battery swapping, and for example for taxi fleets. So that's making a lot of sense. So we can see this policy coming into place here. And by the way, it's interesting that in the past, Audi cars have been really the government car to go to. So if you would see a black Audi driving in China, you would possibly think of that there is a government official inside the car. And yeah, Audi being one of the main competitors to NIO, well, that's just my speculation here, but maybe there is a drive towards more national heroes and local consumption, like pointed out by Xi here in the overall policy. I wouldn't be surprised to see some orders coming in from local governments for NIO cars in the future. Wouldn't the black NIO ET7 look sleek there? We'll see. Just my speculation here, my guesses. Anyways, that's an update of the policies to come. I would expect that these are coming into place possibly with the announcement of the new government team and administration officially in March, but maybe even before that, if they think that they really have to get things up and going. I think the Chinese are usually very pragmatic and not, waiting too long. So expect fast changes here on that front. Let's see, I will give an update when the final subsidies will be announced. Anyways, that's good for EV adoption in general. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.